Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November Jupyter Community Call, November 2022. I need to remember to say years. I'm Isabella. I'll be your host today. And yeah, I'm so excited to get started. I love seeing people on this call. I love seeing things on the agenda. So thank you so much. Before we get any further, I am recording, right? Okay, yes. Before we get any further, there are a few things I'd like to remind you of. So one, the call is recorded, and it will be posted publicly on YouTube, whatever that means to you, just letting you know. Two, this is a Jupyter community event, and as so, we are held to the Jupyter Code of Conduct. Everyone here, that includes me, that can be found at any time at jupyter.org/conduct. And finally, correct me if I pronounce your name wrong. I'm trying to learn and be better, so I'd really appreciate it. I'd like to show you proper respect. Without further ado, Jupyter Community Call, if you haven't been here before, our goal of today is to share and celebrate cross-community things people are working on around Jupyter, whether that's something they made, something they use, something they're just excited about, or even questions they have for the community. And what we're going to be doing is following the agenda that I linked. Okay, the participant number has gone up though, so one more time for anyone who showed up, feel free to sign in. We will be following that, meaning we're going to go through the short reports, which are things without discussion, and main agenda items, and kind of just leave that room for discussion. Right now, I'm seeing 3 things on the agenda. That should be pretty feasible, but I will try and watch the time. So with that, I think we're going to get started. For the short reports, celebrations, shout outs, I'm not seeing anything in there right now, but I will be quiet for a couple seconds to give anyone ideas of if they, or to give people time if they have any ideas. Okay, then. In that case, I'll do the cheesy shout out. Thanks to all of you. I know we got some different time zones today. I think it's kind of an awkward time for many of the participants. So really appreciate you making the time to be here. And then we're going to go to agenda items. Gabriella, I see you're first on the agenda. Are you ready to share?
Hi, yeah, I'm ready.
Wonderful, take it away.
So, what I wanted to share with you today is a usability study I conducted on Jupyter Lab. So I don't know, for those who I haven't met before, I'm a UX designer and researcher and working with QuantStack, and I did a usability study on some current features of Jupyter Lab and some future features that aren't exist yet, but collaboration and sharing notebooks and working together on this notebook in Jupyter Lab. So you can all see my screen, right?
Yep. I can see usability study for Jupyter Lab.
So I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's a bit long, but just go through, I'm going to go through the main results and then explain what I was thinking of doing after and how people could participate in this by having a look at the issues I created on GitHub that are related to the results from the study. So mainly the goal of this is to do little UX improvements on Jupyter Lab that are easy to do and can bring a lot to the users, and to not do them because I or someone thinks there's a better way, but really because it's user-centered and user-validated by a study or by any other kind of study. So I guess
just so you know, Gabriella, you're cutting out a little now.
No visibility. Maybe taking people who have several number of tasks. Can you tell me if it's like really bad? I don't know what to do about it. Maybe if I stop my...
If you've got like a Slack open or something you can
Is it a
close
bit
that might
better
have a
now?
lot of
Or not?
bandwidth.
Yeah. Oh, I'll just stop.
You did stop screen sharing too. I don't know if you intended.
Yeah. I'm putting it back.
Okay.
So basically it's taking participants through a bunch of tasks while telling them a story around these tasks. And are they frustrated by some things? Do they expect something to happen and it doesn't happen? And to cross the information between several participants and see if something emerges all the time, and or was it just a particular case of this person, and in that case we can't count it as a result. So I'm going to jump. We can come maybe if ever there's time and you have questions about it, just to know that there is information here, that, but I'm going to skip that and go straight to the results now. So who we talk to are two kinds of experienced user. The beginner user being people who have been using Jupyter Lab for less than 2 months on a regular basis, but very low level, like first year or second year students. And the experienced user is more teachers that have been using it for more than 10 years. So this is information about the beginner user persona. And this about the experienced user, so an experience of more than 10 years on Jupyter Lab. Unfortunately for the study, there was a lot more participants, 7 versus 2. So most of these results concern the beginner user. The protocol that we go through is that I introduce myself and the context of the study. Then I explain what is expected from them or not. Like, I don't expect them to say if they find things that look nice or not, but I expect them to really do the tasks I ask to need to. And there's never a wrong answer to anything. And then we did the user testing. So for that, I shared with them a prototype I create, which looks like Jupyter Lab, but isn't Jupyter Lab. And so not everything is clickable, but some things are on the prototype that don't actually exist yet. And that's how we can test them. And then we had time for some questions and feedback. So I won't go through the limitations, but there were a couple of ones concerning. So the first task that I asked participants was to open a notebook that had been previously shared with them. So this wasn't clear at all on the prototype. The prototype here had 2 tabs, like the files all and the files shared with me. So it wasn't at all understood. On the prototype, there was also a way to see other people that collaborate on the same notebook. This was very well understood by all participants. There were just some little people expected the tags to appear by default, and in the prototype they weren't. People needed to actually click on show all users to see them. Little things like that weren't well understood. Displaying tags was very way to create cells below or above, like Collab does. And so this had a couple of problems linked to mainly the design and the UI of what I had done in the prototype. So I'm going to document all this. I've actually put a couple already in issues. And so if you're interested in some, you can go and look more detail in what are the results and what do I suggest to improve it. I also tested how do people expect to rename a tag? How do people expect to move a cell? This also created, it was understood, but it created some frustrations because when you move a cell up using this icon, for example, you whole cell to move it up a second time and then again and again, and it can be really frustrating when you have a long notebook with lots of cells and you want to take your cell all to the top or to the bottom, for example. So right now I'm actually creating an issue to suggest an improvement for that. And so also I tested how people add a tag to a cell. So to see what people expected to do so that whenever we want to implement it, we have a few ways of, or the ideas of what do users expect. And then how do users expect to delete a tag? And the same, so at least now we know that if we go to implement it, we can create a design that follows what the usability test, what came out in the usability test. So here are some examples. So I've been creating some issues. Like for example, I've tried to make them as small as possible. So they, for example, here is just creating a disabled state for the move up and move down icons on the toolbar. They don't exist today. And it's just a little UX principle that even though it could seem obvious, it's nice to not have a button that's enabled when actually you can't click on it. Like when a cell is all the way, things like that, that I've been putting on the issues. And so anyone who wants to have a look and comment them or discuss or actually tackle them would be welcome. So that's it.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear about usability studies, like just at all in Jupyter. That's been that they've definitely happened, but yeah, they've been really awesome. I'm going to be quiet though and let other people talk first.
That's cool. We need more of this. Were you testing features that not everybody has? Some of that stuff looked a little bit unfamiliar. Are you all testing 4.0 or like a late 3x series?
No, I was testing features that we don't have yet. It was a prototype that I created in another software, so it's not at what I test wasn't created by developers. It was like I created a fake Jupyter lab with a couple of new things on it. And so it's a lot quicker than actually creating it for real, and then we can test them, and before actually like implementing them, we can do quick tests. So yeah, it was things that don't exist.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. The RTC problem is a challenging problem. I think that folks doing design work in that space are going to need a lot of help and allies in it. I still believe there's a lot of fundamental research in this like interaction that we're doing that is going to be a challenge. So yeah, this is exciting to see, and it seems really challenging to scope, but I'm glad that people are talking about this in the community, and hopefully we see more of this stuff.
Yeah.
Nick, did you want to speak to any of your comments or just leave them in the?
Not really. I mean,
Okay, you don't have to.
It's just like parks on the sidewalk. Yeah. I mean, like there's a couple mocks that we did that you and I, went back and forth on a bit. I think it was specifically in the context of the read-only cells. And it's just when you get to these documents that are not plain text, there's so many places to hide things. And I'm just not sure if like the sidebar is not right because you want to be able to use the sidebar for good stuff. I feel like we need a junk drawer in the notebook UI itself to put stuff, and it needs to get out of your way when you're not sharing and hard tagging, but whatever, this is just me.
Awesome. Anyone else want to speak on this a little? If not. Yeah, the one thing I might ask actually is, I know you're making the issues or the results or the test or anything available somewhere else that we can peruse? Because I know, like, I appreciate today, I'm sure that could have been a much longer discussion.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a good question, actually. I can make it available. I don't know where I could put it.
Well, there's
to
one
make it available.
option. Oh, sorry. There's one
No, no,
option
it's
that
okay.
I don't know. Let me get it for you. But we do have, I believe it's Jupyter surveys because it was started with surveys, but I believe it holds kind of research beyond the limits of surveys at this point. So I think that's kind of a place, or that's at least a place I've treated as kind of like a record of Jupyter centered research that's open. Someone correct me if they think that's wrong. But
I just can't believe you remember that existed. Good for you.
Thanks. I use it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Yeah.
Good.
So if you want to put things there, there's multiple ways you could do it. Like you could actually put stuff in a directory, but if it's like, oh, I just want to share a link, you could probably do it in an issue. But that might be a good place unless somebody else is like, actually, I'd prefer it here. So that'd be my recommendation. But yeah, thank you for sharing. I'm happy to see all that happening. I know I'm kind of repeating what Tony said, but yeah, scheduling these and organizing them is sometimes not that easy, I know from experience. So really awesome. And thank you for taking the time to bring us the results.
Secretly, my hope is that the usability studies help us figure out if we take up white space or not. There's a lot of things on the UI these days, and I know one of the things that we don't talk about from an accessibility perspective often is the cognitive aspect of the computational thinking part. But yeah, I like to hear that one of the first steps is let's get rid of some buttons, because I'm all for that.
Yeah. Forward we go. I think I'm going to switch agenda items. Unless there's any last comments, I'll be quiet for a few seconds. Yeah, okay, let's go to the next option. We have a dolphin scheduler. I saw Eric Gao was on the list for that. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you. You ready to go?
Oh, okay, sure. So, I thought I should be the last because I think on the agenda it seems my topic is at the last. So but okay, I'm ready to go.
sorry.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, please do. You should have permission. Let me know if you don't.
Okay. So may I ask how is my network connection? Can you hear me clearly? So
I
Yeah.
can hear you.
okay, I'm not very confident with my network connection, so please feel free to interrupt me if there are some network issues. Okay, I have a very brief slides and 2 short demo videos. And my name is Eric Gao, and I'm currently working for Alibaba Cloud. Previously, I was working for Amazon as a software engineer. And nowadays, I'm also very interested in contributing to open source project. Actually, I am one of the maintainers of Apache Dolphin Scheduler project. And of course, I am a Jupyter user. So recently, I am exploring the possibilities and what fantastic stuff I can do by combining these tools together. So today I'm going to give a very short introduction on what is Apache Dolphin Scheduler and a short demo for how Apache Dolphin Scheduler is integrated with Jupyter. So okay. So Apache Dolphin Scheduler is a big data workflow orchestration tool, but it can also schedule different other tasks such as Jupyter task or Python task or different kind of machine learning tasks. And one of its most amazing feature is it is a low-code development platform. For example, if in production environment, the platform team can deploy this scheduling tool in the cloud or in some kind of distributed system. And those data analysts or data scientists, they only need to focus on their data task, and they do not need to do more configurations for this scheduling service or doing or writing extra code to enable this scheduling process. They can just do it by drag and drop. And also in Apache Dolphin Scheduler, there is a centralized resource center. They could manage all the resources through this resource center. And basically, Apache Dolphin Scheduler is a scheduling tool, but it has a lot of extensible task plugins. So if you want to add more tasks for other services, or you want to do some kind of customizations, you can development it very easily. And last but not least, Apache Dolphin Scheduler has kind of good integrations with cloud services. So in production environment, when it comes to some kind of enterprise using, you can deploy it with some cloud provider services and make good use of these cloud services. So here is some kind of solution. We can use Dolphin Scheduler with Jupyter to build a studio to develop code and schedule those tasks in production. We can deploy this in a kind of studio cluster, and we can use Jupyter Task Launcher to launch those Jupyter tasks in remote clusters. For example, if you want to do your computations in Hadoop cluster, you can encapsulate this some kind of paper mill command to execute Jupyter node in Yarn containers. If you want to deploy your Dolphin Scheduler service in Kubernetes, you can kind of use Dolphin Scheduler Kubernetes task plugin to pull the image, to pull the container from the remote repo and run your Jupyter nodes in the containers. Also, for this kind of metadata, you can store it in distributed database system, or for those logs and resources, you can store it in the remote object storage, for example, S3 for AWS or OSS for Alibaba Cloud. And for those kind of metrics of the whole system, we can use Prometheus and Grafana solutions. Okay. When it comes to the integrations with Jupyter, as we know, for the most of cases, we need Python environment, virtual environment to run our Python code. So as the Jupyter task. So we have Python environment managed service of in Dolphin Scheduler. We have 3 options. For the first options, we can upload Anaconda environment tar to Dolphin Scheduler Resource Center, and when you try to execute, when the worker try to execute the Jupyter nodes, it will pull the Anaconda environment to the worker and untar it, and then run the Python job in the virtual environment. And the second option is to upload a requirement text to the resource center. And when the worker trying to execute the Jupyter node, you will pip install those third-party libraries from these requirements text, and then create a virtual environment, then run the actual jobs in the environment. And option 3 is to install Conda environment with shell task as a pre-node. As we know, Apache Dolphin Scheduler is a workflow tool, so we can have a pre-task, for example, shell task to install this virtual environment, then run the Python code in the virtual environment. So, any questions so far? Cool.
How do you represent the the environment that's being passed around? So like if you have a Docker image, for example, is it tied in the metadata of the Jupyter Task Launcher, or is that abstraction different for each Dolphin scheduler instance?
Do you mean how we shape those environment, those Python environment?
Yeah, how do you how are you tracking the association of like the particular, I'm assuming a Docker container you're building, and the Jupyter task? So like, for example, like if it's going to a VPC and like a dupe, those don't always support you know, setting a Docker container. It might only support, you know, running something at runtime, whereas a Kubernetes would support a custom Docker.
Okay, so that's a good question. For example, if we are not in the Kubernetes environment, if we are in some kind of Hadoop system, we can have our resource center connected to the HDFS system. And when we are, for example, if we want to use some kind of Conda environment, we can use Conda unpack to generate the tar file and then upload it to the HDFS file system. So there will be a distributed system to manage this virtual environment. For the for the Kubernetes situation, we can build our image with the virtual environment inside of it, and we can store the image in some kind of remote image repository. And when we execute the task, we will pull the image and run the Python code directly inside the image. So you can use the pre-built virtual environment. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I was just curious how you represent it and think about it. So that's okay. It's a little different in each how each orchestrator tends to represent the runtime environment. But it was interesting because you have it abstracted a bit more for where the task runner actually lives.
Okay, so that's a good idea to abstract this. But currently, we for different I mean, for different task or instance or workflow instance, we just use maybe different environments. Currently, we don't have a abstraction for those.
Yeah, so. I remember like your system understands there's different systems under the hood, so that's I was curious how you do it, so that's neat to know.
Okay. So may I go to the demo part so I can give a short video on it so you can maybe I can show it better. Okay, cool. So first I'm going to demonstrate the workflow part and okay, just a minute. But to make things simple, I will just use shell task to represent different kind of task in a machine learning process, such as process data and the training model and prediction and evaluation, just for a demo purpose. Okay, you can see we can create workflow here, and then we can drag and drop a shell task here. Now, the first one we are simulate some kind of process data. But actually, we are going to, in production environment, we are going to have some kind of Python script here or something, or Jupyter or Jupyter node here to do this. But just to make things simple, I'm using echo here to show my purpose. So this task node is for pre-processing data. And the second node is for training model. Again, I'm just using shell echo to simulate this process. And the third part, we are going to do some prediction. Okay, sorry for the typo. And third part, we are going to do some kind of evaluation. As you can see, the whole process, we don't need to write actual data. For example, if I am a Python developer, I only need to focus on my task. So we have defined the task. Then we are going to connect those nodes to form a workflow definition. Okay. Then we save this definition. Okay, sorry for the typo again. Cool. Then we are going to online this workflow instance definition. Then we start it. And you can see in the workflow instance page, there is a workflow instance. It had been completed. And there are those task instance we connected before. Okay, this is just we trigger the workflow manually. Then we can schedule it so that it can be executed in period. For example, if you have a Python, if you have a machine learning task, you need to do it maybe every day sometime. Then we can use this scheduler to schedule it. As you can see, you don't need to write any extra code. You're just doing everything on the web UI. So here is a timing tab. And there is a Chrome expression, but actually you don't need to learn this Chrome expression because there will be some kind of drop-down menu for you to select. Okay. You can actually choose every bit of this Chrome expression. Yeah. This is how we create a workflow and schedule it in Dolphin Scheduler. And here's a second demo about how to integrate Dolphin Scheduler with Jupyter. Here is a Jupyter node. it is doing. I use it to do the weather forecast. Actually, I'm acquiring some data from a remote API. Then I do some analysis and draw some pictures. For example, assume that I have already developed this task in Jupyter interactively. Then I want to schedule it. Now we will show how to schedule it easily in Dolphin Scheduler. Those tags here is about parameterizations, because in Dolphin Scheduler, we use paper mill to execute the Jupyter node. So from Dolphin Scheduler, we will parse the parameters in runtime dynamically, and you will go to this cell, and we can see. Yeah, we create a project. In the project, we can have multiple workflow definitions. If you are working in a team, you can, oh, sorry. Here is how we, about the Python environment part, how we track and share the Python virtual environment. So just a minute. So we go to the resource center, and here's the upload files. And we can upload the files. Yeah. This is a tar file packed by conda pack. And the resource center, actually, we can integrate with remote storage such as AWS S3, or you can do it with HDFS if you are using a Hadoop cluster. It takes some time to upload the file. Okay, we can also upload requirements with all the dependencies inside. You can see. Here is a Jupyter task plugin here. We can just drag it and drop it in the canvas. Yeah, we give it a name like weather forecast or weather Shanghai, because I'm going to parse the Shanghai as city parameters from the paper mill to execute the node. Here's the path of my Jupyter node. It's a template. Yeah, this is the parameters we are going to pass into the cell by paper mill. Actually, you can see those parameters are very exactly those parameters passed into the paper mill, such as kernel, engine, and execution timeout, start timeout, something like that. But we are just using the default values here. Okay, I'm choosing the environment, virtual environment. I just uploaded. Jupyter Task plugin will detect the kinds of methods you are using for managing the environment. If it is tar here, it will untar it and use it as a virtual environment. If it is a text file, you will treat it as a requirements and pip install it. Pip install the environment from it dynamically, and then run the actual job.
Eric, sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure we get to another agenda item. So I just want to give you a few minutes to keep to wrap up if you can. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's totally fine. Thank you for the reminder. So we are just going quickly because we have already showed the process of triggering the workflow instance, and we don't spend much time to waiting for it to get executed. So you can see. You can see here, there is a very nice bar provided by the paper mill, if you are familiar with paper mill. So, yeah. When I reload it, you can see there is a new Jupyter nodes here, which is generated from the template. It is a weather forecast for the Shanghai city. And here's a nice report. Maybe not so nice, but yeah, a report for you. Okay. That is my demonstration. So any questions?
I think it's a very nice report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything that you found needed that you would have preferred to have with the integration or with the libraries you're interfacing with that would have made things easier, or that you noticed were inconsistent?
Oh, you mean whether I can make things easier with the integration by putting these two things together?
Oh, no, I was just asking if there were things that you found in the open source tooling that could be improved in the process of going through this integration.
Okay, I think I read an article posted by you. It was an integration between Dagster and Notable. So the Notable, I think, is very cool and fantastic to make some kind of tables or some kind of nice charts or some very cool pictures. And I think maybe I'm considering about putting it as a task plugin of Dolphin Scheduler so that we can schedule some kind of notable task. We can develop code it there and then schedule it.
So the Notable is running Jupyter notebooks as well. And when it runs PaperMill, the way it works is you're just setting that engine field in the and you have to have the open source PaperMill origami library installed in Python. And then actually I think with the interface you have, like if you want tailor, so it defaulted that engine type, you could, but it basically just uses a different engine to support it with PaperMill.
Cool.
How do you do like API token secrets in the execution environment?
API secrets?
Yeah, for example, like when you're trying to connect to an API and you want to have like the user needs to be able to access it, like either data source or like, you know, in the example there, like if you're talking Notable or some other system to identify the caller to the API.
Okay, so
how do you keep credentials and where do you get those passed to?
Cool. So for example, if we are deploy this in some kind of stuff provided by the cloud providers such as Alibaba EMR or some kind of AWS stuff, then we can use the IAM or RAM to do this. We can do the assume rule and get some kind of STS token. Then we use the token to making requests to those API.
So they have to be baked into the environment.
Of course, you can use other kind of things such as access key or stuff like that. But yeah, you know, it's not very secure.
Yeah. I was basically curious about that because I think one of the things that comes up a lot when you get the integrations for folks is how to get like the secure tokens for arbitrary systems in, and for example, like either using something like Vault to store it locally or one of the AWS services to secret store to kind of capture things on behalf of the user so that things don't get accidentally printed in plain text or passed in plain text in the image build.
Yeah, and also we are doing some kind of integration with OAuth. If two different services both support OAuth, we can use the OAuth to do the single sign-on or stuff like that. We can.
Yeah, that can be
the principle. Yeah.
Neat.
Hi, Eric.
Yeah.
Don't forget. No.
Okay. So I know there are a lot of machine learning scientists or data analysts are using Jupyter. So our Dolphin Scheduler community also provides those kind of ML ops tasks or stuff like that. So I'm wondering whether it is possible for these two community to do some fantastic stuff together. For example, do some kind of co-meetup or stuff like that. Is that possible?
I do definitely think it's possible. I don't know, are you looking to connect with specific, like, right, we have Matt here with Paper Mill and among other things. Is that like you want to be closer to put those two together further, or are there other people you're trying to contact?
Okay, we want to do the maybe we can do a co-meetup with the Jupyter community and co-meetup with with Matt. If you have some kind of community or you have a company, maybe we can do something like I don't know whether you are building the community of Notebook or something like that.
I mean, yeah, I think separate from the like Jupyter ecosystem side, I think there's two sides that's going. One is like, you know, for systems to talk to one another, and that can be sort of maybe independent of the Jupyter community call if we want to follow up on, like, you know, how using Jupyter as the medium to communicate between different proprietary tools. But then like the other side of things is how you want to for example, if we want to be like adding things to like the documentation for how to use different tools in the wild, like we've done that for like, here's how you find the parameter cell in each type of interface, or here's how you would register Paper Mill in different tools. And so one thing we could also talk through is, you know, if they're a commonplace update would be docs, to like how to use different Jupyter tools with other things in the open source docs. I think that's really helpful for people, because a lot of times people come to the docs where they've got, hey, I've heard I can use X with Y. I've got a Jupyter notebook. How do I do it?
Okay, that's cool. May I ask, is that possible for us to do some kind of online meeting together? Maybe some kind of online meetup of two community?
Oh, I see what you're asking. Yeah, I think we haven't really had many meetups on the Paper Mill headless orchestration side of things for a bit. I don't know, Isabella, have you been doing any like walkthroughs for people that want to join on like how to use like Jupyter Lab features or other things in the OSS side?
So it's possible. There's none that I'm currently aware of, but thinking of this, I may also connect with the Jupyter Community Building Committee. Might know if there's been something there as well, because I know that they have some workshops they've been running that I'm not staying on top of. I don't think I know what is running right now. So that might be the next people I can connect
Cool.
you all with as well. But they might know the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's
One of the
basically finding
things that
people who are running workshops. Go ahead.
One of the things that'll be important with moving forward with this is bringing people to the table who will also help run these events, because this community work has been severely under-resourced and supported. So I think in order to make this happen, we'll probably need people who are interested in organizing these things from the other side.
Okay. Cool.
The other way
So-
to look at it is if there's any conferences coming up that are data science oriented that do workshops.
Okay.
I mean, there's like PyData Global coming up tomorrow. I mean, the day after tomorrow. PyData Global.
It's probably good to get emails out and figure out some of these things. It's going to be hard to organize a meeting.
Yeah.
In the time
I just give a proposal. I didn't say that we have to make a decision here or something like that. I just give a proposal here. So thank you for your suggestions.
Yeah, I think we've done some of these types of things too in the past at some of the PyData conferences where like there'll be a workshop. So like Matthias has run some of these before, and Paul has run these before, where they'll walk through like, you know, how to set up a condev and do something interesting with a combination of tools around Jupyter, and like do that can be another place to get people engaged or interested. But yeah, it'd be kind of there's like some different options to look into.
Okay, cool. So I noticed that William is also here. Do you have something to say about this?
Yeah, I think we can just make up an email group to discuss this, and we like to organize a workshop, but online or offline. I think online is better because we're in China and some people cannot go abroad. And if you need some support on organize the meeting, we have the resource, and we have many volunteers who want to hold the meetup, so we can make an email and discuss this in the future, I think.
Yeah, that works for me. If their email is shared in the chat that you want me to follow up on or shared with each other, that's good. But I can
Yeah.
pass on the one contact I got last call to the community building committee.
Yeah, and I give my email right here, and I think Eric and the community are very interested about how to combine the two stuff together and
Yeah.
let people easier to use.
Yeah, thank you for following up on that. It was really good to see this demo after talking about it a little bit at the last call.
Yeah.
Do we have any other comments there? I'm not sure. I know Nick said we could hold off on his agenda item, but I'm unclear as being messaged. Did I miss a demo somewhere on the list?
Nick put a last minute one if there was time. That was
Yeah,
it.
I saw that. I wasn't sure if there was anything else. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, I was checking because I was being messaged on the side and I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anyone by accident. Okay, Nick, I'm assuming you don't
All right,
want to
let's
do
do
a
it in
4-minute?
five.
Oh,
Let's do it
you
in
do want to
5.
do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Five.
I knew there was enough time.
Okay.
Give me share. Give me share. You cannot start while the other person's sharing. Give me share.
Eric, can you stop sharing your screen, please?
Kick them off.
I
There we go.
Thank
There we
you
go.
very much.
There we
No, I
go. 4
appreciate it.
minutes. I'm down to 4 minutes. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Picture. It's from Jupyter, which is from Deathbeds. Picture is a embedded diagramming language. It's very plain text, very plain language focused, which is always a thing that I like. I'm Nick. Tony and I are Deathbeds, and you can see all of our stuff in when I get my back. You can see it at Deathbeds, Jupyter, and Jupyter RAF. You can go play with this stuff yourself. All right, let's hit it. So Jupyter, the first thing I wanted was to be able to write these little things inside of diagrams. And so this is what some looks like inside of a notebook. And this is what the text looks like for that. So we boil it down to just a particular thing. Arrow right 200% markdown to source. Now we've got a markdown source arrow. And then we can have a box. It points at a box and it's got a radius of 10 px and whatever. It's a very opinionated language, and I don't have a syntax highlighter for it yet, but whatever. Sometimes you can do stuff that breaks. It tells you if it's broken. It's cool. It's stupid fast because it's just C compiled to WASM, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't need anything. It's insane. Okay, so that's the markdown flavor. They have determined a MIME type. I guess when you're the guy that wrote SQLite, you get to do that. So we just got this text picture. We can build off of that. This is some crazy thing I pulled off of there, but it had attribution, which is why I felt okay with it. And so you can use the normal IPython display stuff to get it there. I'm talking about how this is selectable text, and I picked one that doesn't have any text. So that's silly. Whatever. Let's see if I can do it live. Got some stuff copy and pasted here. Yeah. Oh, come on. Let's try that again. Yeah. So if you render it as SVG, you actually get the selectable text, and it doesn't do some other stuff. but it can also be an image, and then you can't, but then it's perfect and it works for other things. And if I have an extra minute, I'll show that. It's a widget, and so there's the inevitable widget setup page. Works in Jupyter which is why all this nonsense. So I'm going to need some widgets. I'm going to need some picture. Here's some, your standard sandbox stuff. Nice. I already ran it, so you get to see the candy first, but here's some stuff. So as you're typing, you can see what mistakes you're making, and just keep making boxes all day, boxes everywhere, all the boxes. Anyhow, that one's better. I don't know what happens if you make another one. It just makes it, ooh. So I guess it just keeps figuring out how to line stuff up off the end. Anyhow, that's fun. You can build little playgrounds. I like playgrounds. Let's see here. I think that's it. That's it. That's the 4 minutes. Oh, it works with all the other stuff too, right? So it works with, if you go, this is all their homepage stuff ends up in here. So, if we open this up with the Markdown preview, tastes great in here, same old stuff. A lot of these links don't work. But here's some swim lanes. Yeah, if you want to go all out, if you want to do it, if you want to do it to the max, you can do crazy things. They got a ton of other things. There's a bunch of weird edge cases, like place was annoying. Yeah, and then you open it wrong, Nick. Open with Markdown preview. Yeah, so it can do crazy things. It knows about north and south and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be really fun to write the grammar for this, I tell you what. But it can do like constrained boxes around stuff, which is insane. But really the reason it exists is for, it doesn't do anything. That's great. They have some stuff where they use it for like syntax stuff. If I look for this real quick.
It was almost a 4-minute talk.
Damn
Almost
it.
4
Oh
minutes.
man, I know.
Almost 4 minutes. And then
Oh, nice.
and
I
you're
mean-
just like squirrel.
If we shut off the
Squirrel!
call,
I know,
it would have been, yeah.
I'm done. I'm done. And then that was Jupyter Lab deck that you were seeing. That was from last time. So thanks for being there. All right. Question. Oh, I left this up because I'm a jerk.
So that pairs well with Jupyter Lab markup.
Yeah, it does. Yep. This has got
Cool.
Jupyter Lab NIST installed. So yeah, if you like Mermaid, you can do Mermaid in there. If you like SVG-OB, you can do SVG-OB. So it's, what should these things can you push in there? The disadvantage is it only works in Fossil outside of here, whereas Mermaid works in GitHub. So, that's kind of a bummer.
What is
quick-
this Jupyter Lite presentation tool that you're using?
Say what? Okay, so this is Jupyter Lab deck. It's kind of a reboot of a lot of the stuff that I built in the past, ND present, whatnot. It can move things around. You can fart around. I want big picture.
I
That
believe
doesn't-
the last community call had a fuller demo from Nick on that as well, the October recording, right?
It's
And
true,
is this
but
a
it didn't have
proper
to-
output widget of the Jupyter Lab frontend?
What do you mean output widget?
Is it like literally in the output and inputs of Jupyter? Are you really reusing Jupyter Lab cells and components for
baby.
this?
Yeah, it's all made out of your normal slideshow, whatever, whatever. Just, I mean, they can't do everything with that, right? Like I got some crazy stuff that I do in here that, you don't want to know about. But why did it work? That works. I don't know. I guess Flexbox works weird. But yeah, this is powered by Jupyter Lab fonts, and maybe I've broken it entirely at this point. I don't know. I'll have to go back through and there we go. Yeah, because I ain't got time for Rise. I'm sorry. All right, that's it. Couple minutes over.
Thanks.
Oh, that was Sylvan. How you doing, man? Stop share.
Thank you so much for that share. Sorry to put you on the spot, but it is
That's no
always
problem.
fun to see you perform in different constraints, Nick.
I always enjoy performing. And part of this is pursuant. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. So we got a Jupyter Lite workshop coming up, and we're going to be, putting out some stuff about that. And one of the things that I'm super interested in is Jupyter Lite, because of how you can deploy it, could actually be the front end for GitHub or GitLab or Fossil or Gitty or Gogs or any of those, as long as they can deploy static websites. So It's really got me thinking about Fossil, because I can run Fossil in the browser. You can't run GitLab in the browser. You can't run GitHub, like the whole thing in the browser, but you can run Fossil in the browser. And so as with that as sort of the bastion point of distributed version control in the browser, Light can do all of these things. It can talk to APIs, it can run clients. So if, you know, Fossil was just kind of the beginning of me getting my feet wet on, the picture stuff is like, well, can we really do what it does? But so there's some food for thought stuff there.
That workshop is going to be great. So I think there is a lot of new content also that will be presented there. So yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be
The bleeding
great.
edge.
There is no bleeding her. I mean, you know, you gotta check your blood type when you go in. You know, we might need transfusions. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. But just no Docker. No Docker. Just keep the Docker away. Freaking Docker.
Yeah, no blood and no whales. Okay.
Rubber.
Yeah, I am trying to, sorry anyone to please leave if you need to. I will stop recording. Oh no, that was perfect. I'm glad I didn't stop recording for the cat. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. So thanks for bearing with us. It was awesome to have so many great demos today. Hope to see some of y'all again and have a good rest of your day. Where is my